No, but I gave a Dvar Torah from the Alter Rebbe.
Cool.
I said I don't think I said it's hard to speak at the end of an event because you have to listen, make sure.
Is it done?
Yeah.
You have to pay attention, make sure you don't repeat what anyone else is going to say. I said I don't think anyone was going to say this.
We're starting from the Mishnah. It's on 44b. It says, the Mishnah says, these are types of mumin.
Rennie, put your phone on mute.
These are types of mumin that are in the Torah. It says, Ein le beitzim, ein le beitza achas.
Rennie.
Dr. Stein.
Maybe he's on mute. I can't hear him.
If he doesn't...
Yeah.
Who may put on mute?
Oh, I thought I was on mute. There's no noise at this end. I'll put on mute.
So, if he doesn't have any testicles, or he only has one, so hareza maroya chashach. This is what it says in the Torah. This is a clear pasuk in the Torah of someone that can't serve in the temple. And the parsha Zemar. Zemar maroya chashach hamar b'Torah. Rabbi Yishmael says that's not true. He says kol sheni mucha shachav. It's not if he doesn't have. If they're crushed, that's what the pasuk says. Does he agree that if he doesn't have that? Let's see to that. Rabbi Kiva Imer kol sheruach b'shachav. Rabbi Kiva says no. What the pasuk is talking about is that it's like swollen, or it says there's wind inside. That means that it's like blown up. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes Imer kol shemarav chashuchen. Ben Antignes says it has nothing to do with the testicles. It means if someone looks black, that's considered a mum. We're going to see. We'll ask questions on that. This is humans then. A kohen. Where it says, explains what's going on over here in the pasuk. It says, Kasha leila Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel was bothered by something. Eshach would be in the testicles. And if the Torah is talking about that if he doesn't have, that's a mum, so then it should say chaser, means lacking. It doesn't say that. It says tani shenimrach v'ashachav. So therefore, he taught that it means that it's crushed. Nimrach means that it was crushed. If it was crushed, then it should have had an extra mem there, and it only has one mem. It says maruach hashach. So therefore, tini shaharuach b'ashachav. So he says it means the wind, and the base of the word is the ruach, not miruach, but ruach, which means wind, that it's swollen. Kashli Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes hayruach hashach mibayilai. Why doesn't it say ruach? Why does it say miruach? So he says tini shemarav chashuchen. Now this is very interesting because the word miruach ashech, the word meruach ends with a ches. And the word ashech starts with an aleph. So what Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes holds is goyrin and maisifin v'darshan, that I take a letter off one of the words, I add it on to the other word, and I take the letter off that word and put it onto this word, and I have now mara choshech. Instead of meruach ashech, I have mara choshech. That means it looks black. The Gemara asks, one second. Hainu kushi. That's a different problem. That's the problem of kushi. So why does the Mishnah have to say? Actually, what's our kasha? Why should the Mishnah have? Why should we list twice, according to Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes, kushi, and also kol shemarav chashuchen? It's the same thing. The Gemara says Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes saitani kushi. It's not a problem. It's not like a pasuk over here that there's two of them. It's a Mishnah. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes, his Mishnah didn't have kushi, so he only had this. Okay. Next Mishnah. It says Makish b'karsulav ubar kavaisav. If his ankles or his knees bang against each other. So either his knees bang because his legs his legs go out, so his knees are banging, or the knees go out and the legs and the ankles bang against each other when he walks. Ubal hapikam and ha'ikal. It goes to the Mishnah explains first the ikal, then it goes back to pikam. Ezu ikal. What is the ikal? Kolshu makif parseisa vena kavaisav naiksha sulazu. This is if he puts his feet together, his knees don't touch each other. So this is bow-legged. His legs go outward. So now that sounds like makish bekarsula v'arkavaisiv. I guess the difference is that if his ankles don't necessarily bang against each other, but nevertheless, if he puts them together, still his knees don't. So that's why it would be two separate cases. Pika, what does it mean pika? We said bala pika. And what is the pika? It says pika yetz migudlai. There's some sort of growth coming out of his thumb. Okay. Another case is akeva yetze la'achera. If his heel extends backwards. Gemara's going to explain that when he's standing, it looks like his lower leg is in the center of his foot. It's because it's going both ways. Parsaisav rechavis kshalavas. If his feet are wide like a duck. Now, Gemara's going to say also that it's webbed, but it's also short. Usually, your feet are rectangle. Well, it's more rectangular. But here, this one, his feet are square, like a duck's feet are square. Not square, not square, but the length is not so much longer than from side to side. It's ba'isav merkavi zu al zu. I think what this means is that the fingers are like growing like over one another. I think like instead of being straight, they're like twisted. Or if they're webbed above, so it works like this. Ada perakasher. If it's webbed up until the knuckle, then that's acceptable. But lamatam in a perak, if it extends further than the knuckle, this web, then v'chatcha, then it was cut, then it's kosher. But if it's not cut, then it's not going to be kosher. Someone was telling me I was in a swimming class, and there was a kid over there that had his toes were webbed, like they weren't really divided. They had a thing. He said he swam faster than everyone else, a little bit, like fins, right? Haisaba yeseres b'chatcha. If he has an extra digit and it was cut off, mesh ba'etzem, then he's puzzle. Here we're not discussing the mum aspect of it. Here we're discussing the cutting off aspect of it. That they cut off this extra digit on his hand, and so basically he's missing a finger now. I mean, he had 6, but they cut one off. But because if there was a bone in there, then it's as if he's missing a limb. So now that's also a mum. V'imlav, but if they just cut off a piece of skin, there was no bone in there, then it's kosher. He's kosher to serve. Yeser b'yadav u'baraglav sheish v'sheish esrim v'arba. If he has an extra digit on each hand, so he has 6, and 6 is 12. Then on his feet, he has 6 and 6. It's 12. It's a total of 24. So he has this extra digit. Rabbi Yehuda Machshir, Rabbi Yehuda says that's acceptable. We'll see why. But Chacham Paisam. Chacham say that no, that's a mum. Hashelit b'shtei someone that's ambidextrous. Rabbi Paisel v'Chacham Machshim. Rabbi says that that's puzzle, and the Chacham say that that's kosher. Tana Rabbanan, the Rabbi started in the Brisa Sheva Regel.
What's the
have meant to say that it should be possible. I mean, I understand a lefty is possible, but he's not.
Right.
This is a Suffolk lefty. We're going to discuss this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wait. Question is,
We'll wait till we get there.
no, the Gemara is going to discuss, is it a strength, this is machlekes here, right? Is it a strength in his left hand, or is it a weakness in his right hand?
I used to know a guy with like what you had. He would go like this.
Uh-huh.
I did it.
No, but if it's a weakness of the right hand, then there's a certain weakness that he has that would be the mum. But if it's a strength, then so what? So his right hand is still perfect. It's not like he's a leg. So, okay. The Brisa says, Shever Rogel, a broken leg. This is someone that can't serve in the temple. Ainli ela Shever Rogel, no, a broken leg. Minayin l'Rabbi Sikishan. How do I know if they bang against each other va'ikal? Or if he's bow-legged, va'kilban. Not sure what kilban is. We're going to have to see. Oh, kilban is the extra growth that comes out of his thumb or his toe. Talmud Laimar, oi shever rogel. There's an extra word there that says oi. Not like oi vei. Oi as in or. Or. And that extra or, that or is an extra word that teaches me those extra halachas. Tana. Bal hapikin. I have to read that on the side. It says instead of keeping, it's supposed to say bal hapikin. Bahashufnar and shufnar. Amar Rabchia Barabba Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Rabchia Barabba says name Rabbi Yechanan bal hapikin sheish like sus. I don't know how to read this word. Kistais harbe. How do they pronounce it? Kisasais. Yeah. For some reason, Rashi translates. I looked it up in the dictionary. If the correction in the Rashi is correct, then it's supposed to say istavra, which means ankles. This balapikin means that his ankle is very large. In shufnar, she'in like ksas is kalika, that he doesn't have any ankle. I'm not sure if that's is that how they're translating that?
It says, Rashi explains that this is referring to a person whose ankle bones are extremely large. Others maintain that it means one whose feet are particularly fatty in the front and the back, and whose arch is considerably higher than normal. Like this is the regular, and this is the no good. And then it says, others contend that this is referring to an individual with a particularly large buttocks.
Okay. Okay, I'm not familiar with any of these words, and Rashi gives me some French in there, but I did look up the istavra, they correct the Rashi, and I looked it up in the Jastra. Okay, pika yoitze migudlei va'akevi yitzlacher. Pika is there's a growth that's coming out of his thumb or his toe, or his akeva, his ankle, his heel rather, is going out backwards. Amar Rabbi Lazar, shuki yetz b'emtze raglei, shaykai. His lower leg is going in the middle of his foot. That's what it means. Parseisav rechavis kshalavas. In other words, what the Gemara is doing here is it's taking each case of the Mishnah and it's adding a few words to explain it. Now, in the first wide line, if his feet are wide, like a duck, Amar of Papa Leitema the Trifa. Trifa over here means flat. Don't say that it means flat. V'loi Sedika, and it's not split. Elakivan the Trifa, but even if it's flat, Afagav the Sedika, even if it is split. So in other words, it's not the webbed part here that's the making him treif. It's the flat part. So it must be. There's a little width to the foot. There's a thickness, a height to it. This must be like flat. It's bais of merkavi zu al gav zu oiklutes. If his fingers, I think it means fingers. It doesn't have to mean toes, even though we're dealing with the feet, but it leaves it vague. So, if the fingers are one on top of the other, or klutes, or they're like webbed. Tan Rabbanan shever yad. broken hand, can't serve. That's what it says in the pasuk. Ainli el shever yad, they only know a broken hand. It's bais merkava is supposed to say probably zual gavzu. Let's see what the correction is. Yeah, merkava zual gavzu. Oi klutais lamaila. If the fingers are riding one on top of the other, or if it's webbed above. Mina perek v'chatchan. Okay, this is a very strange piece because first of all, lamaila in the Mishnah. When we said lamaila, if you'd have lamaila meant above. So if you hold your hand like this, so if it's webbed above the knuckle, that was acceptable. It's acceptable to be webbed up until the knuckle. But if it goes past the knuckle, lamata, then that's no good. So in other words, you have to imagine the person in the Mishnah is holding his hands downward. The Brisa now goes like this. He says, Lamaila, if it's above, above means past the knuckle. So then, B'chotchan, and he cut it. One second. You're listening to over here a mum. In the Mishnah it says, V'amrit kasher. The Mishnah said if you cut it, then it was acceptable. Ela v'loy chatachan. You have to edit this brisa. Edit the brisa to say that it wasn't cut. Minayin, how do we know that that's also not acceptable? Talmud loy mari shever yad. Oy. That extra word tells me those extra halachas in the hand. If he has an extra digit and it was cut off, if there was a bone in that digit, so it's pasul v'imlav, it's kosher. And if not, then it's kosher. We're talking about why is it pasul? Because he cut off an extra limb he cut off a limb of his body. It's not the extra part, it's the fact that it was a limb that was removed from his body, he's pasul. Amar Rabba Bar Chanan Rabbi Yechanan. Rabba Bar Chana says the name of Rabbi Yechanan. What's the dalet? Ben Esperes, it's not a big difference. Ben Esperes al Gavayad. When is this considered one of his limbs? That's only if when you count your fingers, you count it together with the other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like in the line. If it's coming out somewhere else, so that's not that wouldn't be counted if you would. So here, this person, he would have counted it with the other fingers because it's right in the row. The problem is it got cut off. So that's considered like a limb got cut off. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been considered like a limb that was removed. It wouldn't be considered anything that didn't belong there. Taner Rabbanan. Yisayir sheish bayetzim ve'im batziparim. We're jumping over to the laws of Tumah here. We're going to make this thing, is this a limb? Is it not a limb? We're going to use it in the laws of Tumah. So if there is an extra digit that has a bone in it, ve'im batziparim, but it doesn't have a nail, so we say that it's metama b'maga b'masa metama b'oil. Very, very strict. We consider it a real limb of the. This limb, if it would have been removed, and it was in a tent, something inside some sort of house, it would give off contamination. It would give off contamination to everything that's in the house. It would give off tumah to the whole house. Now, that's only if there's a bone in it. Otherwise, it would just be a piece of meat. A piece of meat would only give off a piece of a corpse. And that would only give off tumah if it had a kazayas. And here we're saying that there's no kazayas, but the fact that there's a bone makes it into a limb of a human. Then it says v'iluminin kuf chafei. If there's just a bunch of bones, so if it's the majority of the body, so then that also gives off tumah, even if there's no flesh there. The majority of a bone with flesh, that's considered a limb. But bones without any flesh, then it needs to be the majority of the bones, even if they're small, but if it's the majority of the count of bones. So how many bones are in the body? 248. So 124 would be exactly half, but 125 would be the majority. So let's say you have 124, plus this one bone over here that was this extra digit. So we say that counts. Why? Because it had a bone in it. It's considered a real limb. Amar Rabba Bar Bechana Amar Rabbi Yochanan u'b'nesperes al gav hayad. When do we say that extra digit would add up to the 242 to the 125, or that it would be considered a limb? That's only if it would grew together with the other fingers in the row of fingers. Amar Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda says, Davar zer Rabbeinu Agadol Amrei. This was said by our great teacher. Rav Chizda's great teacher is Rav. Really is by Rav Huna. But the great teacher would be Rav. I believe he actually married Rav's granddaughter. But, okay. Hamakim Yeh Hashem should help him. Yisera sheyesh ba'etzem ve'im b'tziporim an extra digit that has a bone but it doesn't have a nail. Metame b'maga b'masa ve'in metame ba'oil. Very different than what Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Yochanan said that it would be considered, it would contaminate in a tent. Rab says that it doesn't contaminate in a tent. Amar Rabba Bar Bechana Amar Rabbi Yochanan u'b'she'ein nesperes al gav hayad. However, we can explain this like this: that Rabba Bar Bechana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that maybe not. Maybe we can learn this. Do you have a division over here? Do you have all of this is a statement of Rav Chizda. Okay. But Rabba Bar Bechana says it, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that if it's not counted along the hands, with the fingers, so then it won't be Matama Ba'il. And that's why. So it actually fits with Rabbi Yochanan. I guess that's what the Gemara is doing. Now it says, Amar Rabbi, it says Rabbi Yochanan, but it's supposed to be Rabbi Chanina. Amar Rabbi Chanina, Asu Devreim Kedivri Nevius. Chanina says that their words are like prophecy. Now, you think that sounds like a positive statement. It's actually not. What it means is that you can't question it, and it doesn't make sense. Because manavshach, how do you view this? E averhu, if it's considered a bone, if it's considered a limb of the body, by tatami, then let it give off tuma in a tent. Why do you say it doesn't give off? We're talking about that it grows not together with the other fingers. We said it doesn't give off tuma in the tent. So 1 second. If it's a limb, then let it give off tuma in the tent. Bilav averhu, so say it's not a limb. So why is it giving off tuma when you touch it? Why do you say touching it and carrying it gives off tuma but not in the tent? So
could be not a limb, but it's kazayas.
Oh, we're talking about then it's not when it's not a kazayas. That would be a good answer, actually. That would be a good answer you see, if the answer was that it's a kazayas, then it should have explained. Kazayas, it should have explained that. The fact that it didn't say it's a kazayas, that would be a good answer. But Amar Rav Huna bar Menayach Mishmei Deravacha Brei Deravika Mishametzim Kasayir Nagaba. There is a concept that an etzem, a bone, even the smallest amount, even a chip of a bone, does give off tumah. And here we're saying, that's what we're saying. It's a piece of a bone that does give off tumah with touching, but it's not enough it's not tumah that it would give off in a tent. So, okay, we have an answer. Rav Papa M'gzeir Shein and Nispera Sat and Nispera. So Rav Papa says, it's actually a rabbinic decree. It's really not a limb. It doesn't give off tumah. But it's just a rabbinic decree. That what? Since if it would be counted together with the fingers, if it would have grown together with the fingers, then it would give off tumah in the tent. So we make a gzeira. This that didn't grow next to the fingers, we make a gzeira. It also gives off tumah. Not in the tent, but through touching. The Gemara says, if you want to make a decree, so make it exactly the same. Make it just like counting. Just like if it grows together with the fingers, it gives off tumah in the tent. So this that didn't grow with the fingers should also give off tumah if it's a decree in the tent. So the Gemara says, "Of the Rabban Nakeru, we didn't want to make it perfectly exact. Why? We didn't want that people should say that this is a real tumah. This digit did not grow together with the fingers, and it was removed. It's not a biblical tumah; it's a rabbinic tumah. So if truma or kachim would contact it, biblically it's not tamei. You really should not be burning this truma, because truma you can't burn you can't destroy it unless it's tamei. Here we're making a decree that you can't eat it, but we want to make sure that you don't go ahead and burn it. So in order to make that distinction, that we know that it's only rabbinic, so they only put on it a tumah of touching, but not a tumah of the tent. Tanan Hassam, it was taught there. This is in Masechtas Oles. Tents. Reiv binyanei v'reiv binyanei shel meis. If you have the majority of the build, or the majority of the count of the bones of a corpse, afal pi she'ein bei roiva, what's that above? Even if they're not the size of a roiva kav, quarter of a kav, even if they don't, if they're very, very small, but because you have the majority of the bones, that would already give off tumah. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Ezer Reiv Binyane, what are the majority of the build of the person, even though it's not the majority of the amount of bones. Reiv Binyane, Ezer Reiv Binyane, Shnei Shekayim v'Yerech Echad. If you have the two lower parts of the leg, calf, and one thigh, Hayal v'Reiv Gavay Begadol, that would be the majority of the height in an adult. Ezer Reiv Binyane, what's the majority of the count of the bones, the number? That's Kuf Chafei. That's 125. Because there's 248, so 125 is the majority. Amalei Ravina l'Rava. Rav Barabba said to Rav, Ravina, different texts, different manuscripts. Tana, minyan asalash minan. What are you trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me that you know how to count? That the majority of 248 is 125? That's what you need to tell us? We could figure that out. That we don't need just the numbers here. That this is something that anyone can do. The Gemara says Kamash Malon Kedetanya. It's coming to teach me a chiddush. It says in the Brisa that Chaser Shem Bayala Masayim. Let's say someone is missing limbs. So if he's missing one digit on each hand, he only has 4 fingers. So that means each finger, should I say it here? No, he's missing 2 digits. Now each finger, he only has 3 fingers per hand. And foot. So each finger is 6 bones, contains 6 bones. So he's missing 2 per hand, so that's 8. 8 times 6 is 48. So he's missing 48 bones, right?
Why 8?
Because 2 per hand.
2, 4, 6, 8.
Right.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, okay.
2 versus 8.
No, that's 2. That's 2. Okay.
2 digits.
But it's only 4 limbs, so it's
Right.
4 times 2.
Yeah.
So that's only 12.
So it goes like this. He's missing
8.
He's missing 8 fingers.
Right.
4 on his hands and 4 on his feet. But each finger or toe has 6 bones.
Okay, got it.
So he's missing now 48 bones. So that's why he has 200. Instead of 248, he only has 200.
Each digit has how many bones?
6. Or v'yeser sheyesh b'masayim u'shmeinim b'yachad. Or maybe he has an extra one, so he has 281. Now Rashi goes through, and then Rashi in the end says, I don't know what there's missing 4. I don't know where the missing 4 are. But basically, what it says is that there's, if you have an extra digit, so you'll have an extra 24, an extra digit per, an extra 24. You have 24 fingers, right? So you have 4 times 6. Really, will be 24. So 48, 248, and 24 is 172, 272, and then if it's a woman, then you can get an extra 4 over there. Maybe 5 would be 277. And how many does this one have? 281. Rashi says the last 4, he doesn't know where it's from. Okay. Kulanay lamin kuf chaf hey.
This part's gross. That's
Oh.
It says here a male. It says here the Chachamim teach that a male body has 248 limbs, while a female has 251.
Right. Right. So here, what do we want to say over here? That if you have the extra, that even if you have less, or if you have more, what's the majority of the body? Will it be 101 for the one that has 200? We say no. It's 125. It doesn't matter. Even if this person has 200 bones, or if they have 281 bones, it's still 125 is considered the majority. Zil Basiru Bedin, should we go up to the majority of people? Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda says Nevim Shmuel. This is straight out of medical school. Cadavers. Ma'aseh b'talmidav shel Rabbi Shmuel. There's a story with the students of Rabbi Shmuel. Shesholku zayna achas sheneschay v'sreif l'melech. Was a prostitute that was killed, and they boiled her up, and they take apart